So your colleague to your right, to my
Thanks,
left.
Caroline.
Yes.
Taylor with Spectrum News. You talked a bit about Doge. Elon Musk is currently a, quote, special government employee who also owns companies that have billions of dollars in federal contracts. You said earlier this week that he has abided by all applicable federal laws, but what steps is the Trump administration taking to address that conflict of interest?
The president was already asked and answered this question this week, and he said if Elon Musk comes across a conflict of interest with the contracts and the funding that Doge is overseeing, then Elon will excuse himself from those contracts. And he has, again, abided by all applicable laws.
Karoline Leavitt, is that the fembot? Karoline Leavitt?
That's her.
Said, he'll just decide himself whether there's any conflict of interest. It's up to him. I mean,
this is the guy who's going after NPR because they get 1% of their budget from the federal government, and a third of his space company funded by the federal government.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, by the way, our beloved Joe from JERS said, hold on. The Department of Governing Efficiency, the entity which claims its mission is to end wasteful spending, was given $7 million taxpayer dollars to cover its, quote, expenses in the span of a single week. Are you kidding me? So, right? It's the tech bros. Yep. The 19-year-olds just took your $7 million to go steal your grandmother's Social Security checks. I mean, Carl, talk to us. Help us. What to do?
Well, I mean, don't look away. I think there's a tendency right now for a lot of people who are saying, I'm just going to ignore what's happening in Washington. Don't ignore it, and don't let your lawmakers not hear from you for a split moment. Reach out to them weekly or daily if you have to. I think Lisa Murkowski posted online that she was getting 1,400 calls per minute, which was a record in her office. They need to hear.
By the way, speaking of security, and this story, real quick, I'm just reading down further here. Some former officials say they worry the list could be passed on to a team of these new broligarchs that are, working with Musk. If that happened, the names of the employees might be more easily targeted by China, Russia, or other foreign intelligence services. One former agency officer called the reporting of the names in an unclassified email a counterintelligence disaster. By the way, other people have been pointing that out. This one, middle-aged right said, "Congratulations, Republican voters. You're now one Russian spy hand away from Vladimir Putin having your Social Security number." I mean, those guys would definitely sell out the country for a handy J, wouldn't they, Bella? Am I right?
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
We have a method in place to ensure that the people working in our government are safe and that they're not assets and that they have been cleared. We're not using that process. We are not giving people security clearance. They're not seeking background checks on these people. And so, any of the guardrails that were in place to ensure everything is on the up and up have been long disregarded, but it's only been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
It feels like longer.
So I was forced to listen. Just happened to be on this morning when I was getting ready. It's Trump droning on at the prayer breakfast about, banning trans, people women from women's sports. He, of course, signed the executive order yesterday. We just played Nancy Mace yelling tranny not on the House floor, in a committee meeting. I mean, Carl, these are the people that claim to be Christians. And, congratulations, you stopped that one girl in your state from playing badminton. Like they did something, right?
I think I read that the group that's really fighting, equal access to school sports claimed that there were 5 trans athletes in K through 12 sports. So, or high school athletics. I don't know what the number is, but these are, when voters think back on why they elected the people they elected, they wanted them to focus on making life a little easier for them, making cost of living, the price of eggs, the cost of gas, the cost of, essentials like healthcare go down. But that's not what is happening, right? Groceries are going up.
Yep.
And, somebody who they were told was not going to go cavalierly, start wars or engage in foreign policy that leads to conflict. I mean, they're getting the exact opposite of what they said they were going for.
Yeah. And then in the latest episode of The Emperor Has No Clothes, you've got everybody, from Kelly McEnany. Kelly. To, all these Republicans saying what a bold, genius idea this is, invading Gaza. I just am like, oh my God. By the way, on the Nancy Mace thing, She posted on X last week. She doesn't care if people call her C word.
Oh,
Saying, at least I have one.
all right.
Bella, could you take your organ out for me? Thanks so much. That sounds weird
Church
now,
organ.
doesn't it? It's called church organ.
Yeah.
Just because this prayer breakfast was this morning, this is the kind of rhetoric these people engage in, right? The name calling, the meanness. Republicans pray at.
This is conservative stand-up comedy.
Yep.
Yeah, Republicans pray at hate group event to thank Jesus for sending Trump to end perversion and depravity. GOP Representative Brian Babin leading a group of Republicans in prayer thanking Jesus for sending their glorious leader. This was organized by the Family Research Council. He's the chair of the House Science Committee. Oh, my God. I mean,
there are through lines all over this. I mean, this is why these same people support Vladimir Putin in Russia, right? Because they're willing to look past all of the human rights abuses just because he really makes the gays and the lesbians and the bisexual and transgender people in Russia suffer.
Yeah. Can I say just because what do we need to microdose hope, as Allison Gill says. Pete Souza, the famous Obama White House photographer, he said on Instagram, I've probably been to 100 political protests like this in my life, all the ones yesterday. And he said, and there has always been protesters that show up until today. No one came to support Trump and Elon, not a single counter protester, zero. Obviously, the stuff he's doing is wildly unpopular. So, put your political strategist cap on for a minute, Carl.
Well, I think what we have to be looking for, there's, I think, about 10 congressional races in the House that were separated by less than a percentage point, somewhere in that neighborhood in the last election. And these people cannot be liking what they're seeing going on right now.
Right.
Because, if Trump truly pursued bringing prices down and entirely focused on that, even if he wasn't successful at it, it would look like he was trying to do it. That would probably help some of those people hold on in 2 years. But the fact that he's pursued one fringe thing after another and they're not doing anything about it is really, it's digging their own political graves at this point. Because they're not going to be able to they won't have anything to take back to voters.
And I'm telling you, the Democratic base wants that Jasmine Crockett energy. Chris Murphy, AOC just said no Democrat should be voting to advance Trump's nominees while all this stuff is going on. There has to be a political price to pay, and we have a responsibility as a party to block everything that is happening while we're setting while they're setting a liberal mash to the federal government. And I agree. This is not, there's no way to say this is a 5-alarm fire without acting like it. I think. I mean, we're having Ro Khanna on in a little bit. I know he initially said, he'd work with Doge. Well, they're not, they proved in record time, they're not operating in good faith on anything, right. Carl. Right?
It's not working with anybody either.
Yeah. Thank you.
A billionaire's fever dream. It is not anything else. It's not like there's any method to the madness.
Right. Yeah. No, exactly. One last one. Hold, please. Yeah. Jamie Raskin, who we just,
Sure.
our DC sexy liberal pal, said, we have to just keep calling out what happens because, as usual, the mainstream media, like I was saying, they just aired, and I think that was actually MSNBC, which I still had the channel on, aired his speech in total. Just went breaking news, aired his entire ridiculous, stupid speech with him, by the way, speculating again about the DC crash with no information. And it's Jamie Raskin just was talking about this stupid tariff thing. He said Mexico said they were going to put 10,000 troops on the border. They already had 15,000 troops on the border. He just likes a lot of razzle dazzle and noise, but the leaders of the world are laughing at him. And we can recognize what a fraudulent pretense this whole thing was. He actually got less troops than Biden did. And, but the problem, Carl, remains the disinformation. If you watch Fox News, glorious leader just negotiated another amazing deal with his threats to Mexico and Canada, right?
Yeah. And, the news out of Canada was just the same, right?
Yes.
Like they committed to the things they committed to a year ago.
Yeah, they're laughing at us. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, you're right. And I don't think we can expect Fox News to change. The only time that you see something different on Fox News is when it impacts, like when there's a direct correlation on the stock market. And so, like, they did go after tariffs a bit. That doesn't mean that they're not going to, like, try and cajole Trump into doing the right thing by pulling off the tariffs. They're going to praise him for whatever it takes to keep him there. They talked about the grants and whatnot, but look, they are going to continue to do what they've done the entire time he's been on the political stage. They're going to do whatever it takes to maintain their relationship with him and conservative hold on power.
Yeah. Carl, love and light to all your kids and parents there, and I hang in there. We'll see you next week.
Thanks. Have a good one.
All right, honey. Oh, hey there, it's Stephanie Miller. If you're like me and you love sharp political insight, pointy, you like it pointy and sharp, bold opinions, and a touch of humor to make sense of these crazy times, have I got some fantastic news for you. The Political Voices Network is now on Substack. This is your new go-to for the best in independent media. We're talking about my show streaming daily with episodes on demand, the fearless of journalism of Brian Karem, the brilliant side-splitting satire of John Fugelsang, the unrelenting working class advocacy of Rick Smith, and so much more. Here's the best part. Subscribing is so easy. You can join for free or go to the extra mile. Support these incredible independent voices by signing up for a full subscription starting at just $8. You'll get access to exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and a chance to directly fuel fearless, unfiltered media. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to politicalvoicesnetwork.com, hit that subscribe button, and become part of the movement keeping truth alive in an era of corporate media overload. Every subscription helps, especially yours. One more time, that is politicalvoicesnetwork.com. Sign up now. Do it.